A few years after the second eruption in 2000, a girl came into this imperfect world in an experiment pod. She had no name, only a cold serial number, K423. K423 was created by Otto via splicing Kiana Kaslana's genes and that from Siren, the Herrscher of the Void, together. The Herrscher core attained consciousness in the new body, and she was expected to become a human with Herrscher powers. In 2007, Siegfried Kaslana attempted to abduct K423 in secret, but was intercepted by Schicksal in his escape. His biological daughter went missing afterward. Siegfried adopted K423 and raised her as his own, but was unwilling to name her after his own daughter. That was until one day, to protect the injured Siegfried, K423 took up arms to confront a Honkai beast in his place. A tender soul defied fate for the first time in order to protect her loved one. Touched by her action, Siegfried decided to name her Kiana Kaslana. He made a promise to her. As the descendants of House Kaslana, it was an honored tradition for them to fight for their loved ones. On this day, the girl received her name from her father, and she set foot on a path deviating from her written fate. However, fate had other plans. In 2010, the latent Herrscher persona awoke. Blazes of anger scorched the world that had just opened up to her. To protect Kiana, Siegfried used Judgment of Shamash to suppress the Herrscher of the Void. But as a result, he was severely injured. Siegfried realized that he would inevitably rouse the Herrscher persona again. To protect Kiana, he left her. The girl was worthy of love. Those who loved her could do anything for her. But in the girl's eyes, it was her very existence that brought them endless sufferings and miseries. Nevertheless, she did not forget the promise with her father and continued to believe in the good of the world. In the Honkai-stricken Nagazora, when Raiden Mei, who had become the Herrscher of Thunder, turned against her, Kiana still reached out to her. When they were fleeing Nagazora, Himeko rescued Kiana and Mei and took them to Saint Freya. Kiana's troubled fate was finally calmed for a brief moment. On the campus, she met friends who were like family and made the solemn vow to fight for all that is beautiful in the world. She wanted to stay, but a cruel twist would soon break her hopes. Dark seeds germinated in the shadow of the peaceful years. The other sentience inside her preyed on all the good in her life once more by encroaching on her cognition and her dreams. It was Kiana's pining for a mother's love that made her awakening possible. She created illusions to make Kiana believe that she saved her mother from sacrificing herself to end the second eruption. When she realized the great joy she experienced was elusive, she broke down and let the Herrscher persona take over. Being taken to the Schicksal HQ by Fu Hua, she was confined in the same bleak experiment pod, just as when she was born. Only this time, Otto, who witnessed her rebirth, wished to see the Herrscher of the Void return. Just as Otto expected, the Saint Freya group revolted and attacked the Schicksal HQ with anti-entropy to rescue Kiana. In fact, he wanted them to gamble everything for Kiana. Their deep love and the ensuing sacrifices would stimulate Kiana's emotions to help her overcome the Herrscher persona, so she could become a human with Herrscher powers. The Herrscher of the Void achieved complete awakening and pulverized Saint Freya and anti-entropy in a display of power. In the end, to save Kiana, Himeko donned the Godsbane battlesuit for Million Night, Eclipse. She defeated Herrscher of the Void and injected the Spear of Destiny, a Honkai neutralizing serum, into Kiana at the expense of her life. Himeko fell into the imaginary space. Kiana might be a Herrscher, But her friends and teachers still loved her and believed in her as much. Yet their goodwill was too heavy to bear. Kiana wandered in Ark City after waking up from the nightmare. Honkai beasts and zombies hunted her. The whispers of the Herrscher tortured her. She wanted to run, but had nowhere to run. Those pains and sufferings are predestined. She was test subject K423, the vessel of a Herrscher, and the root cause of the world's and her loved ones' miseries. Would the world be a better place had she died? When Kiana was prepared to die with the Herrscher inside, Fuha's sentience in her mind stopped her and the Herrscher from reviving. Kiana finally remembered that Himeko sacrificed herself to save her because, as her teacher, Himeko believed in her potential to change the world. Kiana snapped out of grief and loss. To repay Himeko's faith, she will continue fighting her ill fate. With Fuha's help, Kiana learned how to contain the Herrscher persona and utilize Herrscher powers. She became a rogue hero that fought to save Ark City from destruction. Kiana discovered that the Honkai disasters plaguing Ark City were not related to the Herrscher of the Void. They were the work of a shady organization known as the World Serpent. All traces pointed to a dreadful ploy, Project Stigma. The catastrophe caused by it would level Ark City to the ground. Kiana must transfer the Honkai bomb planted by World Serpent to save Ark City. She made it. Even though the Herrscher persona and Honkai were eating her away, she did not fail Himeko. To change this imperfect world, she became the meteor that ripped Ark City's darkness open and propelled the bomb out of the atmosphere, which rewrote the cruel fate of this city. The unconscious Kiana was taken to the Schicksal North African lab by Durandal. Otto needed a Kiana who had harnessed Herrscher powers to activate the second divine key. Sick of being manipulated, she broke out from the lab and escaped Kevin's pursuit under Fuha's cover. Kiana returned to the ruins of Nagazora. She was ready to meet her end in the place where she first met everyone she cared about. She knew she had little time left as the Honkai core continued to corrupt her. To bring back Kiana, Mei set foot in Nagazora. Kiana had not stopped imagining how she would reunite with her friends once. Yet she could not seize the chance when it finally came. Honkai was growing thick in Nagazora. She had to step forward to protect the world and her friends, even if it would cost her her life. She had always been like this. She would laugh off the worst injuries. She saved the world, saved everyone, but kept the pain to herself. She was killing herself to protect the good in the world, but she had forgotten that she also meant the whole world to her loved ones. To save Kiana, Mei made a pact with Kevin. A new gem of conquest solidified in her body. She became the Herrscher of Thunder again and joined World Serpent by choice. Mei knew her best friend would never accept her choice, but she could not create a future for her dearest if she held on to her past. After Mei left, Kiana and Bronya went to Mount Taishuan to find the ways of mastering Herrscher powers recorded by Fuha, without knowing the Herrscher of Sentience had already woken. In the illusion created by the Herrscher of Sentience, Fuha's lonely life, bound by her mission, flashed before Kiana's eyes. Fuha planned to sacrifice herself again to seal the Herrscher of Sentience. Kiana could not accept a fate that exchanged their lives for the greater good. It was Himeko's. It was Mei's. It was Fuha's. It was hers once, and it was not the happiness they wanted. To end this wretched story the way they truly wanted, Kiana stopped fighting alone. She chose to believe in her friends. In the theater of domination, built by the Legion Hersher, she confronted her fate for the last time. She accepted her fate and who she was. She and the Hersher of the Void were both continuations of Siren's persona. The Hersher of the Void was Siren's hatred toward the world manifested. She was the other possibility, born from Siren's desire for love. The countless hearts that loved and helped her made this possibility a reality, turning her from test subject K423 into a Valkyrie who fights for all that is beautiful in the world, into Kiana Kaslana, who leads everyone forward. As for where her path leads to, we will soon find out.